We have a lot of basketball to talk about. We're a little worried because now with just the two of us and no Lou to buffer, we might get fired. But here we go.
Surprised you moved on from the Gator game so quick. We need to talk.
Like Pacers. There'll be time at the end. The big chip-in heard around the world from LeBron. Wins it at the buzzer, 121-19. He finished with 13, 13, and 7. Luka, 34 points. Austin Reeves had his 24, and Tyrese Haliburton with 16 points, 18 assists. They took him out with 42 seconds left. The Lakers go on, they miss the next possession. He did not use his last timeout, Rick Carlisle, to put Haliburton back in the game. And so I'm kind of wondering from a strategy standpoint what you made of that.
It wasn't a good look, and this is their best offensive player. This is kind of their guy that gets them into their offense, and you don't get to, save your timeouts. If you don't use them, it's not like they carry over to overtime.
Right.
So this was a big mistake, and Rick Carlisle has actually done this multiple times before in Indiana, in Dallas, but there's no point not to just burn a timeout. You know they're going to get another possession anyways on the other end, so put your best player in, put your playmaker in, get everyone, draw up a set. And I understand sometimes it's the free flow into the game. You want to just keep going. Maybe the defense isn't set either, so a lot of times coaches don't want to burn that timeout because they don't want to let them set their defense. They don't want them to make proper substitutions to get matchups right. But when it's your best player and it's the guy that sets up your entire offense, you got to burn the timeout. You got to get him in a set. And then also because you have to talk about defense on the other end. And obviously hindsight now, looking back, they got a horrible shot with Matherin at the end of the shot clock. And then you don't get a stop. And Luka makes that floater 8 times out of 10. So I think it was a mistake by Carlisle, but a lot of times coaches do this just to not allow that defense to get set.
There's going to be a lot of LeBron talk today. And it's not because we're trying to, grasp at content, because there's a lot to be said. There was a lot said yesterday by him. And then, of course, he goes on to have the, it's a buzzer beater. It's a tip-in, though. And there's already been a little bit of discussion on sort of what do you do with that. But either way, it gets the job done. It wins the game. He's now tied for second most in NBA history behind you-know-who, MJ. I know there are those that say he's not clutch. I don't know what you feel about this being a buzzer beater, so talk to me.
Well, this is a buzzer beater, and again, 5 years from now, when we look at the numbers and we look at how many buzzer beaters he has, we're not going to remember that this was a tip-in. At the end of the day, this counts.
Oh, some will.
But this counts as his 8th or 9th or whatever the number is. But it's not like this was a clutch shot. This is a big play. This is a great hustle play to not give up, to crash the glass, to know that this is the only option they had when that floater was released. But there is a difference of a game winner, of a kind of a step back game winner. There's a difference to me if you're down 1 or down 2 rather than the score being tied. That makes the scenario a little bit more stressful, a little more impactful. But again, this was a huge effort play from a 40-year-old guy on the offensive glass for a game winner, yes. But does this make him now a little bit more clutch, closer to MJ? Not on a tip-in buzzer beater, but it was a hell of a play.
By the way, I love that the list, it's Kobe also with 8, and our guy, Joe Johnson.
How many sites does Joe have?
8? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's kind of a fun
What does Dame Lillard have?
So, I don't know. It's
got to be a lot. It's
got to be a lot. Yeah, it's got to be a bunch. You think he's the guy?
He's the face of game winners.
He's the king of game winners.
Game on the line, clutch. Who wants the ball? I want Dame Lillard.
Yeah, there's an actual time named after it. Thank you. That's a whole thing. He had 3 points, by the way, entering the 4th. LeBron did, but his streak is alive. 10 or more points. 1,283 games, goes back to 2007.
It's ridiculous.
That's another crazy streak that he's got on there. I don't know who's touching that one soon. By the way, for perspective, for context, MJ had 866.
It's unbelievable, and I know we talk about the stats, will Steph's threes ever be broken?
Sure.
Well, this record, I don't think this will ever be broken, because this just means he's never even went down before he's in the first quarter to where he didn't get 10 points. He finished his games. He plays a lot of minutes. He's obviously played for a long, long, long time. But 10 plus points, it's nothing. It's not crazy when you look at his resume. But to average 10 points in your NBA career is a hell of a career. I think that is a solid career where you are productive. You played, averaging 10 points. This guy's done it 1,300 games in a row. It really is remarkable. And again, it just goes to his testament of how hard he works, how consistent he is. He's never just laid an egg and had a 2 for 13 game where you didn't at least get to the free throw line and have 6, 7, 8, 9 points. Look across the stars across the league. They all have those type of games.
For sure.
Not LeBron James.
Yeah, that is a crazy number. And I get it. We're in territory now. He's been playing long enough that he's going to have a bunch of these milestones just by longevity alone. But
he never got tossed in the first half where he had 9 points. It's impressive. It's crazy.
Yeah, why
he's never gotten foul trouble. He never got hurt, and it's a ridiculous heater.
Kind of a crazy number. And the thing is too that for the Lakers that they were having that losing streak of 3. So I would have to imagine, given what these standings look like and the movement that still is potentially up in the air for a lot of these teams, this was a big win.
It was huge, and it's a team that's desperate. It's a team that's lost 7 of 10 games. It's a team that needed this win, and this could have easily went the other way. Without this tip-in, they go to overtime. Who knows what happens? And we're talking about a completely different headline today, how the Lakers have now lost 4 in a row, and you know, they're fully healthy now, and they're getting their guys back. This was much, much needed. It was a balanced effort. You look across the board, even LeBron with 13-13, that is a great game for him when you can allow Luka to go and have 34. When Austin Reeves, who's arguably been their best, most consistent player, has 24. When you're getting a little bit of everything from Jackson Hayes again, was unbelievable last night. He is the key, I think, to this team, just giving them that lob threat, giving them athletic 5 that's altering shots on the defensive end, but also giving Luka that lob threat on the offensive end. So this was a great balanced win. This was a much needed win. I don't think they looked great. I don't think they played unbelievable, but they did enough to win the game. They defended. They got stops when it mattered. And again, when you lose 7 out of 10, this is a huge win to get off the schneid.